r/AskReddit. What are some of the dumbest rules you had in school? If someone came up to you and punched you in the face, unprovoked, you'd both get suspended for fighting. Football, soccer, was banned because it was played too much in favor of other sports. Instead, cricket was heavily encouraged. After 2 weeks, the rule was repealed though because too many kids were getting hit in the head with cricket bats. You couldn't talk during lunch. No picking up snow. I live in the Rocky Mountains for Christ's sake. At my elementary school, we weren't allowed to touch the trees. They were scared we would damage them by touching them. We couldn't wear Raiders gear because it was too gang related. We couldn't wear hats. The only exception was these overpriced hideous beanies they sold at the student store. I wore a hat to school in protest and printed out a copy of some California law I found about school uniforms having to be provided if the student couldn't pay for them. Showed it to the office lady as I walked in. Was sent to administration. Showed administration my papers. Principal bought me a school hat to shut me up. TLDR. Principal bought me a hat. My elementary school tried to prohibit kids from going to their friends' houses after school. I don't remember it lasting very long, so parents must have banded together and put the kibosh on that. ETA. The original rule was that both parents had to write notes for the teacher about any play dates. This wasn't about kids making random plans during the day without their parents being aware or approving. This definitely wasn't allowed. Like I said, I don't remember it lasting long because it was a really stupid rule. During my last year, even with an excuse and full apology from parents, my middle school would still punish late students. I one time got into a car accident and arrived 15 minutes late and I still got a detention. For a time, Pokemon and Magic, the Gathering cards were completely banned at my school. They couldn't be had on school grounds at any time at all, including recess. They were considered to be such a distraction that being caught with them would result in a day or more of in-school suspension for the first offense. This eventually resulted in a small group of elementary schoolers peddling the more valuable cards black market style and turning a huge profit doing it. People would set up buys just like a real drug deal. Meet me in the back parking lot during lunch. Bring money and make sure nobody follows you. If anything, it was a better lesson in economics than any of the classes we took later in school. If people want something badly enough, there will always be a buyer and a seller who will do business. A few years after I left, my middle school banned hugging. This is completely true. We weren't allowed to bring dildos into school because they caused a riot when someone did. Edit. For anyone who is interested in the full story, me and my friends found a used dildo on our lunch break at the shops next to the school. So we thought it would be funny to take it in and mess around. My friend was asking people for the time and then poking it in their eyes when they weren't looking. Anyway, we threw it across the playground at a group of year 7s and forgot about it. The next day, we were all called into the head teacher's office and suspended for a week because apparently the dinner ladies were pelted by bottles and stones by the year 7s. They genuinely used the word riot and sent a letter to all our parents reminding us not to bring in toys from home. Hot Cheetos are not allowed on campus because it causes death. In my old Lutheran elementary school, boys weren't allowed to have hair longer than 3 inches. I had long hair, still do, and one of our school advisors, kinda like a vice principal, told me that I needed to cut it and that he'd call my mom to make sure it's done. I told him Jesus had long hair. Why can't I? I was promptly suspended. We couldn't say bullets when talking about making a list in a Word document. Instead we had to say nuggets. No ankle socks because it was too sexual. Absolutely ridiculous. No water bottles or drink bottles of any sort because some people were filling them with booze at home and drinking at school. I would daydream about drinking water while in class. That's how dehydrated I was. I bet my scores would have been higher if I wasn't drying out. They banned high fives at my school. High fives. Apparently some douche pretended to offer a girl a high five and then hit or grabbed her tit instead. So since they couldn't ban boobs, God, wouldn't they have loved to do that? They just banned high fives instead. They also banned plain white t-shirts for guys. Not sure what their technical excuse was. but word in the hallways was that it looked too ghetto or something. A group of like 30 or 40 boys wore one the next week in protest. I can't remember what happened after that. Also no water bottles. I understand that bringing alcohol to school is a problem, but banning water bottles is just not the solution to that problem. Edit. Also typical dress code rules that I took for granted and thought were enforced at all schools. No sleeveless shirts. Fingertip length skirts shorts. No facial hair. Tight fitting clothing. Unnatural hair colors. No long hair on guys. Etc. I went to public school in a very conservative small town. No playing tag at recess. Something about chasing someone and you could trip and die. We had that rule at my elementary school. Punishment was a 3-day suspension. So naturally all us 5th graders organized a big game of tag in protest of one teacher we hated. We had about 90 5th graders. It was epic and they only gave us 1 day of lunch detention. Having to ask to use the bathroom. Oh, you need to use the toilet? Sit down and wait. Boys were not allowed to wear beanies unless it was below 70 degrees. But on the other hand, girls can wear them whenever. Edit. The measurement is in Fahrenheit. My high school's handbook had a rule in it that if you committed suicide on school grounds, you were expelled. Catholic all-girls school, uniforms and the whole shebang. Part of our uniforms were rather short skirts, meant to fall above the knee. Senior free dress comes around and we can't duck and wear maxi dresses. Literally for our entire high school career we wear skirts so short our asses hang out, which was rarely considered a breach of code. Yet when we're about to graduate, we can't wear dresses that reach our ankles. Instead, we're allowed yoga pants, which if you're attempting for enforced modesty do not work at all. At guys' school across the street, there were boys literally standing on benches rating girls' asses. I wouldn't doubt if they didn't get in trouble, though the administrations were generally pretty good about harassment. It was just so backwards. I went to an all-guys school where you couldn't change in the hallways. I guess it made sense cause of sexual harassment laws with the women teachers. But whenever no teachers were around guys would start whipping their clothes off. It was like some game of cat and mouse and guys were always getting detentions for being caught whipping their pants off between classes. It sounds super gay, but the school was also really homophobic due to the complexes that come with an all-guys school. You couldn't touch other students. My best friend broke his ankle during recess in the 4th grade. Another guy and me carried him to the office. We got suspended. In the mornings when we entered the school from the bus, boys had to enter on the left side door and girls on the right. Elementary, no pogs and no playing near ice in the winter. Middle, getting dizzy is a form of getting high, so no dizzy baseball, kickball or spinning of any kind. High, backpack ban. Books are carried in your arms or a clear plastic grocery bag. Overwhelming protest for this, so it only lasted about 2 weeks. My little sister is in junior high and nobody is allowed to say Shrek. Basically a teacher overheard a student talking about the Shrek is love, Shrek is life video. In turn, students are given a detention if caught saying Shrek. My 5th grade teacher did not let us eat Doritos for lunch simply because she didn't like the smell. Selfish jerk. No ducking in the woods behind the school. I mean, where else do you expect the youth to have sex? 10-second microwave maximum. One kid put a push pop in there for like 30 minuets. Smelled real bad. I want my Tamagotchi back. In middle school we had to tuck our tops in, girls included. That included any jerseys, hoodies, hoodies, coats, sweaters, and basically anything that could go low enough to overlap your belt line. One teacher wouldn't let me use the toilet in an art lesson. I really have to go. Can I please go? So I pissed myself and ran out the classroom. No hiding. I was in 1st grade and could barely read, but I'm 92% sure the sign said no hiding. For the first 15 minutes and last 15 minutes of each class they would lock the bathrooms and you couldn't use them. There really was no legitimate reason for doing this. The school claimed it was to make sure students weren't skipping class, which makes no sense. There was always a teacher outside the bathroom, and you had to sign in and out to even use them, plus show the on-duty teacher your pass. It seemed stupid at the time, but looking back on it, it was almost like prison. minus the whole shanking and rape thing. Edit. In elementary school, kindergarten to 5th, a bell would ring at the end of recess. You had to freeze in place until a teacher would blow a whistle, and then you could go line up and wait for your teacher to show up so you could go back to class. The freeze in place rule was taken way too seriously. Still not sure of the purpose. I got in trouble in 4th grade for saying oh my god. Apparently it's classified as cussing. Who knew? One time in 6th grade I got a week of detention for calling an orange crayon stupid. Apparently, I had used inappropriate language. Duck Washington. If someone starts a fight with you and you throw a punch back or defend yourself in any way, you are punished just as harshly. Apparently the correct thing to do is run like the ducking hounds after catching scent. How taking gum away was a form of punishment. Physical education is a subject like any other. It shouldn't be used to punish kids. Duck you grade 8 teacher. The number of gym classes I missed because of you and your bullshit. No facial hair. After school detention for anyone caught opening up the Windows command prompt. No coats with hoods, especially hoodies. No tolerance. I remember in elementary, if it rained we had to eat in the cafeteria. But, if you brought your lunch with you, you ate on side of the cafeteria, and if you bought your lunch you had to eat on the other side. We couldn't wear bead necklace in high school because they were somehow gang related. Oh boy, is this a post for me? I went to a Catholic all-girls school. The rules included, your hair is not allowed to be shorter than shoulder length. You must always wear shorts underneath your skirt. Otherwise, you slap. Your hair must always be up. Always. And with a black hair tie. Only black gym shoes. No cell phones. Got injured? Go to the principal's office. But first, you must write an extremely long letter indicating why you need to use the school phone and why it is valid for you to do so. Your parents have to go to a meeting to get your grades. No exceptions. If they don't attend, no grades. Also, get yelled at by your teachers for what your parents do. No tights. No form-fitting shirts. Always ask to use the restroom. Also restroom for your class. Yes, each class was assigned a restroom plus only one stall for 50 plus girls to use, which is also on the other side of campus. No gay relationships. True story. 2 girls almost got expelled for this, but their parents, both sets fully knew about the relationship and were perfectly fine with it, as they had been going strong for over 3 years. Stepped in and the school only separated them into different classes. No running. Always tuck your shirt into your pants. Always wear a slip underneath your clothes. Otherwise, get called a slap in front of the entire class. Have a boyfriend? Great. Have a boyfriend and you live in the school's dormitory? You're dead. Beach. No nail polish. Not even clear nail polish. No sleeveless shirts. No capri pants. No boots. Don't read books during class. Understandable. But not if the teacher will confiscate your book when it's in your bag and won't return it after the school year is over. If your parents weren't previous students of the school, you're gonna get bad grades. Didn't matter how good you did. The highest grade you're ever gonna see is 85. I wish I was making this up. Another true story. I once attended a school event where we were all supposed to wear blue shirts and jeans. I arrived wearing said blue shirt, but had to go with black, loose leggings as I had no jeans at the time. I am immediately yelled at and called a prostitute in front of many parents and classmates. 10 minutes later, girl walks in, wearing an orange tight shirt, and a skirt so short I could see her underwear peeping through. Also, heels. She got off without a hitch. Because as it turns out, her mother had been a student in the school before and the girl was therefore innocent. Have a nice day. My elementary Catholic school banned high-top sneakers. I still don't understand why. The N-word was banned in my one class. This happened after we were severely overusing the N-word early in the year. This N-word was noob.